This will be part 1 for our 7i readings, where we will be starting our readings for chapters 8 and 9. Hope you guys all had a great Memorial Day weekend and an extra day off from school where you were able to rest a little bit more. These are the pages that I kind of laid out for the next few days. I did include some reading for Friday this time around just because wanted it to make sure that it's not too overwhelming. But of course, you could always read extra pages on the other days so that you can still get Friday off and only focus on the quiz. Okay, so today our goal will be to read pages 1 through 11 and answer text amendment question number 1. So as we look at our notes, as usual, I'm moving on from the 2 vocabulary words. So do this on your own time or pause right here. The first word is indignant, to be angered or annoyed at something, unjust or wrong. And then the second word is audible, capable of being heard. So if you're speaking in an audible voice, that means that people can hear you. If you're speaking in an inaudible voice, then that means people cannot hear you. Here are the 4 questions we're looking at today. So it says, how does Cassie get her revenge on Lillian Jean Sims? So that's something to look forward to, that she's going to get some revenge. The next question is, why do Caleb Wallace and Harlan Granger show up at Cassie's school? What's the result? The next question is, what does Jeremy say about how his brothers treat TJ? And what dangers do the Logan family face? Okay, so we said that we're going to pause at page 11. So I'm going to find my page 11. Here it is. There's page 10. Here's page 11. So I'm going to highlight this part because it looks like I messed up here. Okay. And we're ready to get started. Page 2. Reminders that we usually pick a color, right, for highlighting. So for this one, let's just say I'm going to use this like lavender purple. It doesn't show that well actually. Let me choose a different color. Aqua. Okay. Miss Lillian Jean, would you wait up a minute, please? Cassie, you cracked, cried Stacy. Cassie, where are you? Get back here, Cassie. Stacy's words faded into the gray stillness of the January morning as I turned deaf ears to him and hurried after Lillian Jean. Thanks for waiting up, I said when I caught up with her. Quick moment here. Notice how it says she had deaf ears to him, meaning if you haven't caught on yet, you should know that Stacy is Cassie's brother, meaning boy. I still hear a lot of you calling Stacy she, so just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so let's keep going. She stared down at me irritably. What do you want? Well, I said, walking beside her, I've been thinking about what happened in Strawberry back last month. Yeah, commented Lillian Jean suspiciously. Well, to tell you the truth, I was real upset for a while there, but my papa told me it don't do no good sitting around being mad. Then I seen how things was. I mean, I should have seen it all along. After all, I'm who I am, and you're who you are. Lillian Jean looked at me with astonishment that I could see the matter so clearly. Well, I'm glad you finally learned the way of things. Oh, I did, I piped readily. The way I see it? Here, let me take them books for you, Miss Lillian Jean. The way I see it, we all gotta do what we gotta do, and that's what I'm gonna do from now on. Just what I gotta. Good for you, Cassie, replied Lillian Jean enthusiastically. God'll bless you for it. You think so? Why, of course, she exclaimed. God wants all his children to do what's right. I'm glad you think so, Miss Lillian Jean. When we reached the crossroads, I waved goodbye to Lillian Jean and waited for the others. Before they reached me, little man exclaimed, Woo! I'm going to tell Mama, carrying that old dumb Lillian Jean's books. Cassie, what'd you do that for? Questioned Christopher John, his round face pained. Ah, shoot, laughed TJ. Old Cassie just learned she better do what's good for her if she don't want no more of Mr. Sims' backhand. I clenched my fists behind me and narrowed my eyes in the Logan gaze, but managed to hold my tongue. Stacy stared at me strangely and turned and said, We'd better get on to school. As I followed, Jeremy touched my arm timidly. Cassie, you don't have to do that. That old Lillian Jean, she ain't worth it. I stared at Jeremy, trying to understand him, but he shied away from me and ran down the road after his sister. "Mama gonna whip you good, too," said prideful little Ben, still fuming as we approached the school, "'cause I'm gonna sure tell it." "Nah, you ain't," said Stacy. There was a shocked silence as all heads turned to him. "This here thing's between Cassie and Lillian Jean, and ain't nobody telling nobody nothing about this." He stared directly at TJ, caught his eye, and repeated, "Nobody." "Aw, man," cried TJ, "it ain't none of my business." Then after a moment's silence he added, "I got too many worries of my own to worry about Cassie, Uncle Tom, and Lillian Jean." So, Uncle Tommy is a pretty old expression. If you guys aren't familiar with it, then you might want to look it up. But just a quick version is someone was called an uncle, a black person in the past was called an Uncle Tom if they were like seen sucking up to like a white person. So it's like a negative term here. My temper almost flew out of my mouth, but I pressed my lips together, forcing it to stay inside. "Them final examinations coming up in 2 weeks, man, and ain't no way I can afford to fail them things again," TJ continued. "Then you won't," said Stacy. "Shoot, that's what I thought last year, but your mama makes the hardest examinations she know how." He paused, sighed, and ventured, "Bet, though, if you kind of asked her about what kind of questions—" "TJ, don't you come talking to me about no cheating," cried Stacy angrily. "After all that trouble I got in last time count of you, you got questions, you ask Mama yourself. But you say one more word to me about them tests, I'm gonna—" All right, TJ smiled in feigned apology. "It's just that I'm gonna have to figure out something." "I got a solution," I said, unable to resist just one bit of friendly advice. "What's that?" "Try studying." Uncle Hammer left on New Year's Day. Papa and I had gone into the forest, down the cow path, into the misty hollow where the trees lay fallen. For a while we stood looking at the destruction, then sitting on one of our fallen friends, we talked in quiet, respectful tones, observing the soft morning of the forest. When I had explained the whole strawberry business to Papa, he said slowly, "You know the Bible says you're supposed to forgive these things." "Yes, sir," I said, waiting. "Supposed to turn the other cheek." "Yes, sir." Papa rubbed his mustache and looked up at the trees, standing like sentinels on the edge of the hollow, listening. "But the way I see it, the Bible didn't mean for you to be no fool. Now one day, maybe I can forgive John Anderson for what he done to these trees, but I ain't gonna forget it. I figure forgiving is not letting someone nag at you, rotting you out. Now, if I hadn't done what I done, then I couldn't forgive myself, and that's the truth of it." I nodded gravely, and he looked down at me. "You're a lot like me, Cassie girl, but you got yourself a bad temper like your Uncle Hammer. That temper can get you in trouble." "Yes, sir." "Now this thing between you and Lillian Jean, most folks would think you should go around doing what she tell you, and maybe you should." "Papa." "Cassie, there'll be a whole lot of things you ain't gonna want to do, but you'll have to do in this life, just so you can survive. Now, I don't like the idea of what Charlie Sims did to you no more than your Uncle Hammer, but I had to weigh the hurt of what happened to you to what could have happened if I went after him. If I'd have gone after Charlie Sims and given him a good thrashing like I felt like doing, the hurt to all of us would have been a whole lot more than the hurt you received, so I let it be. I don't like letting it be, but I can live with that decision. But there are things, Cassie, that if I'd let be, they'd eat away at me and destroy me in the end. And it's the same with you, baby. There are things you can't back down on, things you gotta take a stand on. But it's up to you to decide when them things are. You have to demand respect in this world. Ain't nobody just gonna hand it to you. How you carry yourself, what you stand for, that's how you gain respect. But little one, ain't nobody's respect worth more than your own. You understand that?" "Yes, sir." "Now there ain't no sense in going around being mad. You clear your head so you can think sensibly. Then I want you to think real hard on whether or not Lillian Jean's worth taking a stand about. Keep in mind that Lillian Jean probably won't be the last white person to treat you this way." He turned toward me so that he looked me full in the face, and the seriousness of his eyes startled me. He held my chin up with the wide flat of his hard hand. "This here is an important decision, Cassie. Very important. I want you to understand that. But I think you can handle it. Now you listen to me, and you listen good. This thing, if you make the wrong decision and Charlie Sims gets involved, then I get involved, and there'll be trouble." "But big trouble?" I whispered. "Like the trees?" "Don't know," said Papa, "but it could be bad." I pondered his words and promised, Mr. Mr. Sims ain't never gonna hear about it, Papa. Papa studied me. I'll count on that, Cassie girl. I'll count on that really hard. I'll count real hard on that. For the month of January, I was Lillian Jean's slave, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. She even took to waiting for me in the morning with Jeremy so that I could carry her books. When friends of hers walked with us, she bragged about her little colored friend and almost hugged herself with pleasure when I called her Miss Lillian Jean. When we were alone, she confided her secrets to me, the boy she had passionately loved for the past year, and the things she had done to attract his attention, with no success, I might add. The secrets of the girls she couldn't stand, as well as those she could, and even a tidbit or two about her elder brother's romantic adventures. All I had to do to prime the gossip pump was smile nicely and whisper a Miss Lillian Jean every now and then. I almost hated to see the source dry up. At the end of examination day, I shot out of Miss Crocker's class and hurried into the yard. I was eager to get to the crossroads to meet Lillian Jean. I had promised myself to take care of the examinations, and then... "Little man, Claude, Christopher John, come on, y'all," I cried. "There's Stacy." The four of us dashed across the yard, trailing Stacy and TJ to the road. When we caught up with them, it was obvious that the jovial mask TJ always wore had been stripped away. "She did it on purpose," TJ accused, a nasty scowl twisting his face. "Man, you was cheating," Stacy pointed out. "What you expect her to do?" "She could have given me a break. Weren't nothing but a couple bits of old paper. Didn't need 'em nohow." "Well, what you have 'em for?" "Aw, man, leave me be. All y'all Logans think y'all so doggone much with y'all's new coats and books and shiny new Packards." He swirled around, glaring down at Christopher John, Little Man, and me. "I am sick of y'all. Your mama and your papa, too." Then he turned and fled angrily up the road. "TJ, hey, man, where are you going?" Stacy yelled after him. TJ did not answer. The road swelled into a small hill, and he disappeared on the other side of it. When we reached the crossroads and saw no sign of him on the southern road leading home, Stacy asked Claude, "Where'd he go?" Claude looked shamefaced and rubbed one badly worn shoe against the other. "Down to that old store, I reckon." Stacy sighed. "Come on, then. We better get on home. He'll be all right by tomorrow." Okay, so just pausing here to take a lot in that happened. Let's just start with like the last part. How Claude looks shamefaced and is rubbing one badly worn shoe against the other. So we had to question like, why is he doing this? And we know that he feels ashamed because TJ is going to the store, and we know what store is he going to. He's going to the Wallace store. Why would that bring him shame? And it's because they know that they shouldn't be going there. We know that they're not treating black people very well, to say the least. And we also know that like children are smoking, drinking, so it's just not a good environment. So it would be embarrassing, Claude being the younger brother, to acknowledge that his older brother's going there. And then why does TJ get upset? We know he's upset because, well, I mean, that could even be one of our questions, right? All of these could be questions that we could type here on the right-hand side. Like, why is Claude ashamed? Like, we also know, like, he's saying, like, bad things about the Logans here, meaning TJ. So, why is TJ upset at the Logan family? And we know in this case, we know he's upset because he got caught cheating by their mom, and we know that their mom is one to stick to the rules. So, that's important. Also, what else do we have going on? We have, like, here, we have Cassie. Like, why is Cassie sucking up to Lillian Jean? So we have her carrying her books, letting Lillian Jean brag in front of her friends about having a little colored friend, and telling her his secrets. And then right before that, we have Papa giving Cassie advice. So our video is going to pause here, so maybe just ask yourself, like, what advice does he really give her? So we can even ask that question, and then we will answer it in part 2. What advice does Papa give Cassie? Okay, so we'll stop the video here, and then we'll pick up on this question in the next video.